Quad66. I want you to look past a couple things here. Look past the beat up camera, look past the wind. It's going to give us a little bit of a bumpy ride. And check out how this quad flies. I almost didn't buy these motors, but I'm glad I did. These are the Tmotor 1104. I think they're 7,500 kV, at least that's what they're calling themselves. They're flying somewhere up there like 7,800, maybe 8,000 or so. And I've got this with the Emax props. Oh, that wind just stopped me. I don't know if you saw that. That was supposed to be a throw over the house, and the wind said no. But these are the Emax A-band Rush props, the 2.5 inch. And this is a fun little quad to fly. Super intuitive. Even despite the wind, I'm actually able to hit some lines that are pretty tricky here. The wind is definitely throwing me around, you can see it there. But super fun little quad, and surprisingly a fairly efficient little combination. So these are 1104s, and I was looking for specifically a motor to use with these props, because the thing I like about these props is that they're a little bit more durable, and they need a little bit more motor though than, you know, for like the 1103, they need a little bit more motor than the 1202.5s. I think the 1203 is enough to spin them, but unfortunately with those Flywoo 1203s, the KV is just not where we need it. You see that wind take the quad right there? It's crazy. So the KV, we just don't have the KV we need in those 1203s, and so the 1204s, you can fly these on the 1204s, but to me it just starts to get a little bit low in the disc area. Ooh, that wind is killing me. I'm like scaring myself here. See? It's just coming up short. But hopefully you can see how this is, despite the wind and the bumps, this is a really fun little quad to fly. I'm going to try and show it to you, despite, man, wind's just like saying heck no. Yep, I just can't track a straight line. That's not the quad having tracking issues, that's just the realities of a tiny little quad flying in heavy wind. It's just not going to do, you know, what a bigger quad's going to do, just mass-wise. But with as small and light as this quad is, it actually does track and huck pretty well, because we've got fairly, like, really balanced sort of like prop disc to quad weight area. I totally messed that up. Prop disc area to quad weight, and it's got a real nice ratio, and that's kind of the key to getting the balance between being able to throw the quad versus how it tracks and the nimbleness. And so this one is like one of the most intuitive little quads I've flown in a while. And I specifically compared it back to back with several other quads, particularly, you know, I was really liking the way that 1202.5 build was flying with the GemFan 2512 props, and this one just outdoes it. It's just the balance that you have of throw to grip and the power band, where it's just super intuitive that I can just get right in there, and hopefully I don't mess this up and kind of make a liar of myself, but I can just get in there and fly these lines super comfortably. And it's just, it's easy. It's much easier than on some of the other quads, and I'm really liking it a lot, and that's why, despite this crazy wind, you know, I feel like I just really wanted to show you this video. The other thing that's pretty interesting about this is you can see I've been flying this pretty hard, like I'm not holding back on it, and this is a 550 battery, and I'm easily getting out over 4 minutes. Let's see, let me get out here. So 4 minutes plus, probably hit 4:30 soon, and it's still got a good amount of power. Now clearly we're getting to the end of the battery, and I might call that. I'm going to actually call that, because these are new batteries. These are 550. These are the Race Day Quads, GNB 550s. They're the 100C, so the red label from GNB. Alright, here's the build. So this is a Warpig 114, 114 millimeters motor mount. You might be hearing a bunch of the wind in the background. Maybe they'll give you appreciation how bumpy the ride actually was when I was flying out there. But I've got this built up with one of my older boards, the Flywoo F411 board, and I've got it with these Emax Avan Rush props. These are 2.5 inch props, and I was specifically interested in seeing if I could find a motor that worked really well with these props, because they're pretty durable. You can kind of beat them up a little bit and they still keep flying pretty well. And I'd been flying them on these Flywoo 1203s, but the KV is just on the high side. It makes kind of the lower end kind of difficult to control. And I think this 1203 spins the prop pretty well, but it's just a very high KV, and so you give up some efficiency, and I think you give up some low-end control. I almost didn't buy these Tmotors because they do a couple things. So these Tmotors, one of the things that Tmotor does is they do these short, the shaft, the prop shaft. So the shaft is pretty short and it's not a tight fitting, so that leaves a lot of the stress on the screws, and I like to use nylon screws. And I don't like that because then I'm going to be snapping more nylon screws unnecessarily. And yes, it's going to kind of preserve the shaft and the motor shaft a little bit better because you're less likely to bend it. But at the end of the day, I'd rather take a bent one once in a while than snapping a bunch of nylon screws and having a headache. Surprisingly though, I haven't really had that problem on this build yet. It's still a new build, so I haven't really spent a ton of time on it. But it was just flying so nice and so intuitive that I just really wanted to show you what this is, because I think it's a build that you really want to consider. It reminds me a lot of what used to be kind of my most intuitive flying quad with the old 1103s, and I've got tri-blades on here, but actually typically fly this with the HQ T65s. And the main reason this quad has sort of fell out of favor for me is just I'm so tired of those unbalanced HQ props, and it's just a shame because this is a really great flying quad. But along comes this build, and it just does really well. So no more prop balance issues, and despite that we're going to be flying something that's quite a bit heavier, because we're on this tri-blade prop with more grip, it sort of balances out. And that's the key to this, why to me it flies really well. It's just really balanced performance where you can throw it well enough, it tracks well enough, and it just feels really intuitive. It's a hard thing to describe other than to try and fly it, but the quad just does what I expect it to, which makes it easy to push things. And I don't have to really think about it. I don't have to like say, okay, what do I need to do to get around this corner? I can just do it. And it makes it really fun to fly. For comparison on these Tmotors, let's give you a weight here on the Tmotor. So Tmotor had been coming in at like 5.35, 5.4 grams. The wind is kind of shifting that weight around a little bit, but I've weighed them without the wind. Trust me, it's about 5.3-ish, 5.34. For comparison, the Flywoo 1203 comes in a little lighter. It comes in right around 5 grams. And the RCN Power 1104 also comes in a little bit lighter, and it's been coming in, the wind's just throwing it off. It's been coming in around 5.1 grams. I'd like to show you that directly on the scale, but I just want to get this video done despite the wind. So it's in this sort of same range. It's the heavier of these three, but not by a terrible amount. Now, it would be nice, so TuneRC, if you're listening, which I hope you are, why don't you try this motor? Get some of these wound in a higher KV, so like 8,000 to 9,000 KV, and try it with some tri-blade props. I think you'll like it, and I think that'll give you kind of some other ways to utilize this 1104 motor that you have here, because this KV is really low. It's for 4S on 3 inches, 3,600 KV, and it does what they intended it to do, where it's a pretty easy quad to fly, gets good flight time, good efficiency on 3S. But I think there's more uses for this motor than just that, and I'd be really interested to see how these fly somewhere around at 8 to maybe 9,000 kV, probably 8,000 kV. What else about this motor? Well, let's show you the all-up weight of the quad. Hopefully the wind's not throwing things off too much. Let's let that settle out. So dry weight on this quad, it's been about what I've been seeing, 51 to 52 grams. That wind's killing me. And then we add on the battery, which is like a 29-gram battery. And so we get into the 80-gram range. So like 81, 82 gram all up weight. So it's not super light, but not super heavy either. The thing what got me so excited about this quad is that it doesn't fly the same, but it has that same easy like intuition when I'm flying, that intuitive feel as my old favorite, which was the 1103 build with the T65 props. This quad I just haven't flown as much recently, mainly because those T65 are so badly balanced, and I'm sick of hearing quads just kind of oscillating in the air for no good reason. So that's been kind of a bummer. Other props to try with this motor, with this 1104, are these. These are the Gepar C25 something props. They're a good prop. They're going to be fairly similar in performance to those Emax props. The only reason I haven't been as excited about these props is mainly they're a little bit harder to get. Nobody seems to be stocking them, and I got them from AliExpress. It's kind of like a slow built delivery. And I'm just kind of not the kind of person that wants to think so far ahead and have a bunch of props stocked. I want to, like, hey, if I run out of a prop, I want to be able to easily just go ahead and order it. But anyways, I did compare this to a couple of other quads. So I compared the 1104s to this other. So this is the 1202.5 build with the, again, the high KV 11,500. And this quad, I really loved the way it flew. And I was kind of surprised that once I started flying the 1104s with the Emax A-band, I actually liked this better than this one. Even though we're carrying more weight, I find the slightly heavier 1104 build, it's just a little bit more intuitive. This is still a great flying quad and I highly recommend it, but on the 1104 build, I'm getting slightly better flight time and it's a little bit easier to fly. So that's kind of interesting. Interestingly enough, 1204s, so the 8,000 kV 1204s from RCN Power, they will also spin that Emax prop, but they live better on 3-inch, and so we'll kind of save that discussion for another time. Another one to kind of throw in here really quick. So these are the batteries I was flying on, are the Race Day Quads 550. This is the 100C version, so this is the same as the GNB Red Label, so their 100C batteries are the Red Label. These are 720s, but this is 550, so now they offer a slightly smaller battery in that Red Label. Weight-wise, these are coming in just slightly under the Tattoo. The Tattoo R-Line 550 is about 32 grams for the 2S, and then this is coming in around 29 grams, which is still a little bit heavier, obviously, than the 530 yellow labels, which are basically kind of like the old pink label, and they're just a smaller battery still. But anyways, flight time that I was getting on this, a pretty good flight time. I was getting about 4 to 5 minutes, depending on how aggressive, but easily getting 4 minutes. You could fly really aggressive and get 4 minutes on it, which is a nice flight time. And if you want super long flight time, I did fly these 1104s with the Gemfan 3016 props. With that, I was getting like 6 to 7 minutes. And then I threw on the Emax Avita 3-inch bi-blades with these 1104s, and I was getting 7 to 8 minutes of flight time with the big battery, with the 720 battery. But, so, if you want to do that, these motors will spin those props, but it's definitely not as fun. The 1204 definitely controls the prop better, and so for the best flight experience, I recommend this on the 2.5-inch props. Specifically these, either these Emax A-band Rush or the Gepar C props. Alright. Of course, just as I'm done, the dog stops drinking out of the water bowl. Anyways, hope that wasn't too chaotic for you, but I just wanted to get a video out. Hadn't done a video for a little bit, and didn't think I was going to like these Tmotors, but they turned out alright, so good job Tmotor. And RCN Power, give us some KV options on these. Alright, till next time, cheers.